Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
Who do you think was last in the NFL for according to Jimmy Clemsky?
Okay, that's my guess.
The Jaguars, according to Jimmy Clemsky.
You keep saying Jimmy Clemsky like I'm supposed to know who that is.
Well, I just think it's a funny name to say.
All right.
Jimmy Clemsky.
Like I want to root for the bad guy. It's like there's probably a name for what I'm trying to describe.
I understand what you're saying.
Elle says the words you're looking for are protagonist and antagonist.
That's not
in
the
Escape
words I was
from
looking for.
Alcatraz, Megan doesn't understand why grown men would wear the shirt of another man. Dustin says, I'm 30 and will wear jerseys until I'm 95. It's called true fandom. Sean writes in, guys who wear jerseys are losers. So many guys wearing them these days tells you the state of things in the world. You're a grown-ass man. Grow up. Dustin, to the guy who said you're a loser if you wear a jersey, it sounds like you can't afford to pick up the hobby. Bill in Norfolk, I would suggest checking out Windows Bay.
Widow's Bay.
Oh, Widow's Bay. I'm sorry.
I saw it.
A sad movie, Manchester Bay.
Oh, Manchester
by the Sea. That's the
Wow, Manchester by the Sea.
He never quite gets him right.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota.com.
What a tremendous lead-in today.
Manchester Bay.
You forget all of the Fredisms, while they're happening live.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get any Fredisms today, but you'll get some Paul and Evanisms because we's all you got today, folks, for your Tuesday edition of Patriots Unfiltered here from Gillette Stadium, a.k.a. Boston Stadium, for at least one more night. Ev?
One of the games of the tournament.
Absolutely. Tremendous World Cup drama right here in Foxborough last night.
Yeah.
You being the soccer aficionado, I'm going to let you take it away.
Yeah. I mean, one of the bigger upsets in the tournament in quite some time. I mean, I don't know how you feel about upsets, Paul, early on. It's the same thing with March Madness. When they happen, they're great. But when you get all these powerhouses that get upset, then the later rounds can sometimes get a little bit like, I don't know if I really want to watch Paraguay again. It was great in the moment that they pulled off an upset.
I know what you mean.
But then, advancing further, I think would be different. But just a tremendous parking of the bus by Paraguay last night. That's what I would call it, when you were basically just playing not to give up a goal. That was another
one of those that if I talked about, I didn't see the game.
Yes.
I was out and I was listening actually on the radio as people were sort of talking about it as I was driving home, just because I knew the implications of a team like Germany going out in such a fashion. But so if I had watched this game and I would have said something like that, like that's why I don't like it. When you can play like that and survive, and then
so this is I think this is
another reason for the soccer people to hate me.
So Germany, I believe, finished with almost 75% possession.
It's unbelievable
for the game, and they just couldn't crack Paraguay's defense. They couldn't get inside and get into a attacking position. So they dominated the game by the numbers. This is like one of those games where a team like doubles up another in yardage, but somehow loses the game at the end in a football game. But this is one of the pros and cons. I had a lot of talk about PKs over the last 24 hours because there was 2 penalty shootouts yesterday, and I love it. I think the drama is fantastic, but this is one of the drawbacks is it comes down to kind of
There's no arguing the drama.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible theater to watch those unfold and the pressure that is on both
I can't even imagine
the goalkeeper and the attacking play. The guy that's taking the kick. Unbelievable pressure with the whole country.
Yeah.
Every 4 years, it really is incredible drama. My issue isn't so much like that's the rule, like that's how you decided. I know every time they come down to this, it happens the same way in hockey. Like, oh, it's 3-on-3 overtime. That's no way to. It's fine. It's the same. For both.
They've been playing for 2 hours.
It's the same for both teams. So both teams have the same amount of chances to win, and I understand all that. What I don't really understand, and we won't turn this into a World Cup show, I promise. We do have one more game here. One of the quarterfinals will be here on July 9th. So what's that, a week from Thursday.
Yeah.
That'll be the final game that will take place here in Foxborough. So we're putting the wraps on what has been, I think, truly exceptional couple of weeks of just great sports, great people watching, great enthusiasm, great vibes.
Yeah.
All around the country, in Mexico and in Canada as well. So I think North America has done a great job, with the World Cup itself. I don't like the fact that the other game that went to penalty kicks, Morocco and the Netherlands, to me is like the equivalent of Duke and North Carolina playing in the first round of the NCAA tournament. How did the 6th and 7th best teams in the world face off against each other in the round of 32? Says the ignorant guy who doesn't know anything about the World Cup.
I think that there's probably a number of different ways that we ended up here, but the biggest one is that the U.S., Canada, and Mexico are given priority in the pool when they pick the pool to sort out the groups. They're given priority as host nations. So even though they're not...
I have a problem with that.
Right.
I do. I have a problem with that.
That I think is... It ends up pushing everybody else down, so that has a trickle-down effect when the host nation is not a powerhouse, when it's not in France or Germany or England or something like that, and you have teams like, especially Canada, but U.S. and Canada, I would say, and Mexico even to an extent, that aren't top 5, top 10 teams in the world, that has that kind of impact. So the way the bracket is set up now, you could argue that they need to do a better job of not having such a fixed bracket based off of, the winner of this group plays this group and that group plays that group. So all this is predetermined going into the tournament.
No, I understand seeding and all that.
Yeah.
It would be hard for me to imagine teams of that caliber facing off that early in a regular seeded tournament. So that's part of it, is that automatically you get 3 different nations that probably got seeded higher than they needed to be.
Right.
Certainly in Canada and the U.S.'s situation. I'm not really as up to speed on Mexico's. But,
I would say Mexico and the
it's
US
unfortunate because I think both of those teams are really good. Morocco was coming off a Final Four finish in the last World Cup, right? So I think people might look at Morocco and say, oh, that was a huge upset. No, they were actually the higher rated team.
Yeah,
I think they were
really
6
good.
and Netherlands was 7. So I think it's a shame that one of those had to go home so early. But like I said, I think it's been tremendous theater to watch. The drama in those PKs is palpable. You can feel it right through your TV as you're watching.
I mean, I think the only football equivalent is probably like a field goal kicker taking a field goal where you're down
2 and you kick it, you make it, you win, you miss it, you lose.
Right, that sort of thing. I just trying to, when I was watching it yesterday, just putting myself in those shoes, like, oh my God, like the nerves and the pressure.
Yeah, it was like the Baltimore kicker, the rookie there. It was a Loop, Tyler Loop.
Yeah, Tyler
Is that his
Loop.
name? He missed that kick on the last play of the game against Pittsburgh. He makes it.
one.
They win, the division, and they go in the playoffs. He misses it, and they're out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
John Harbaugh is fired. And,
Yeah.
like that's the stakes that are, and it's even greater because it's only every 4 years for the World Cup. So, it's been fun. Been fun to watch, and I think it's been very well received, I would say, by the ignorant Americans.
Yes, I think that people are starting to get chippy on Twitter, Paul, about this because the ignorant Americans are making suggestions of how to possibly change the game or make the game better, and the diehard soccer fans, football fans are like, stay out of our game.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're talking about.
So
I don't like that. I don't like the gatekeeping.
I'll close the loop with this, because I've gotten a few of those. And it's not even that I want to make suggestions, but like, and this is, I speak often with a broad brush. I understand that there's no such thing as 100% to 0%. So not everybody feels this way. I do feel like a lot of passionate soccer people feel this way. And that is, we want everybody to embrace the game. We want everybody to think of it the way we think of it, that it's the greatest game, the beautiful game, and all the strategy and the execution that goes into it. And then you get upset when people like me that are very casual and watch don't see it that way and look for, and I made this observation earlier. It's like, you got to be careful what you wish for. So you get more eyeballs on it, and then you get people that watch other sports,
Right.
and they know what they're entertained by, and they're like, you know what could make this better? An adjustment to the offside rule.
Right.
You know what could make this better? Don't have your 6th and 7th best teams in the world face off in the round of 32.
Yeah.
They don't want suggestions from the ignorant.
No.
I'll say me. I won't paint any more broad brush than that. I'll just, for myself, I've gotten some people, and to be honest, nobody really pushing, like, no one being mean-spirited about it, but people sort of
Stay in your lane.
mansplaining soccer to me, and I keep trying to say, like, listen, it's not a lack of understanding of what you're talking about. It's me not looking at it the same way as you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't find the entertainment in the 7 pass before something happens. It's not really all that entertaining. Like you said, Paraguay just sits there and plays Katie by the door the whole second half and waits for PKs and hopes and prays that they can come out of the shootout ahead.
Yep.
Like, I don't find that fascinating.
Yeah. I mean,
Now, the shootout itself, the penalty kicks, the PKs, those are very fascinating. But
yeah.
The 90 minutes plus to get there is not the same for me.
So to be fair to Paraguay, because I did say that about Paraguay, but to be fair to Paraguay, when you play such a favorite like Germany, it's kind of the only way you can win.
Right.
If you open up the game, then Germany, you're not going to run with Germany, right? Germany, all of a sudden you're going back and forth, and you open up the game. Germany's going to score more goals than you in an open game like that. So packing it in is kind of your only thing. I think the one thing I would say to the OG soccer fans is that American sports have always been open to rule changes and things to make the sport better. And I'm not saying that we're better than you. I'm just saying that they've always been open to it. And for the vast majority of my lifetime, a lot of those rule changes have really done good and really worked. So I'm not
look at the transformation baseball's had with dramatic changes.
Baseball's
to the way it's played.
I think baseball is the best example too, because of how regional baseball is and how every kid in America played Little League at some point, just like every kid overseas played soccer at some point. Baseball did wholesale changes to the pace of play and different things like that, and it saved the game. It saved the game.
I agree.
So I'm not saying that soccer needs any changing. I'm just saying don't be so closed off to these tweaks maybe actually helping make the game better. The introduction of VAR, I think, is a little bit controversial, but in a lot of ways, people think that improved the game or hurt the game or whatever, but that was a change. That was a significant change that they went on. The offsides thing is a different thing.
Yeah, I thought boss man Freddie Kirsch was straddling that line. Did you see him a little bit talking about offside? I'm not in Freddie's DMs, so I don't know what kind of blowback he was getting, but I'll bet he was getting some.
So I think the biggest pushback that you hear from soccer people he basically proposed hockey offsides, where there's a zone, right? And once you enter the zone, then everybody is, as long as everybody enters the zone onside,
right,
then everybody is onside and there's no more offside. I think the biggest thing that I hear against that is that the players are just going to stand in front of the goal. Like, you're just going to have, like, the whole defense is just going to be standing in the goal mouth, and basically they're going to pack it in, and there's not going to be a way to score, right? Because if you're taking away like a high line of offside, then they're just going to stand in the 6-yard box and prevent you from getting any closer.
Yeah, and it's a similar complaint that I have in hockey. Like, when you see these goals get disallowed by, like,
escape
micro
blade.
inches, a shoelace is offside, and like, it didn't really impact the play. And I think that maybe they could be a little less picky, but I'm not going to get into they need to overhaul the rules of the sport, because I'm not looking for that smoke.
It's interesting because it's kind of like in football. We have offside and false starts and things like that. It sets the structure of the game, right? It sets like the structure of the game. So if you don't have it, then the structure completely changes and the shape of the game completely changes. The one thing that I would be interested in to hear about, more from people that know more than me, once the ball is in the box and it's touched in the box, I see so many goals that there's this crazy sequence where it hits off 3 guys, hits off the goalie, hits off another guy, and then a guy taps it in and it's a goal, but that player is deemed offside. And I wonder if, like, once the ball is touched inside the box by another player, if maybe we can say, no more offside on the deflection, because so many goals I feel like get disallowed because some crazy bounce happens. There's no way that the guy could know that the ball is going to bounce right to him.
I would totally agree. I think there's room to alter things, but again, I'm not getting into them because I'm not as well versed in it as people that watch the game more passionately than I do. So I don't tell people how they should or shouldn't enjoy things.
I like the PK shootout. I hope they never catch that.
I mean, I think it's unbelievably tense, and you can feel that tension just when you're watching. And even if you have no vested interest, like I don't have really any vested interest in any of these games.
And just knowing how much these people care.
Yes.
About the World Cup in particular, and just how you have the weight of the nation. And I was talking to Jess. Jess played some goalie in her day. She played out in the field as well. But it's definitely harder to be the penalty taker than the goalie. Like the goalie's not expected to make the save.
Right.
So if you
it's the expectation thing.
Right. If you make a single save in a penalty shootout as
You're
a
a
goalie,
hero.
you did your job. So yesterday with the Germany one, they had that the fifth round, right?
He stopped the one to
Neuer
keep him alive.
Stopped it. And both her and I looked at each other. It's like, that's the best goalie in the world. Like that guy was not. There was no way he was going to let them score on that one. Obviously, he didn't get the next one, but just incredible drama.
All right. So as we close out June here on Patriots Unfiltered, and again, you can get us at 855-PATS-500. I see people already lining up to probably make fun of us for leading with soccer. Emails at podcasts@patriots.com. But Evan and I, we sort of talked a little bit about, we want to transition this. We understand it's Patriots Unfiltered, so we will talk Patriots. But I did think that, sort of talking about the update in the knockout stage of the World Cup was worth giving a few minutes to, so we did. A couple of things came out over the weekend, not really any Patriots news, but NFL-wise, couple of things on ESPN.com that caught my eye. Bill Barnwell had his ranking of the skill positions. It's wide receivers, tight ends, running backs.
Yep.
So not necessarily counting the quarterback, just sort of the weapons, if you will. Patriots 10th in that category, which may seem a little off to some, but they were 30th.
Yeah.
A year ago. So they clearly have upgraded the roster with A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs, even with the loss of Stephon Diggs. But I know you had a chance, Ev, to look at that list.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on their rundown?
Yeah, I think it's pretty crazy that just to watch just in Drake May's career, his rookie year, I think they were 31st in these rankings at Barnwell. He does them every year, so I think it's a good baseline of, it's the same guy grading it every single year. His rookie season, they were 31. Going into the 2025 season, they were 30th, like you said. And then this year, they're all the way up to 10th. Now, maybe that's a little bit of course correction because last year they clearly were not the 30th graded
absolutely.
Group skill group once the season progressed. But just a remarkable roster improvement year over year to the point now where you're giving Drake May a fully viable set of weapons.
Yeah.
As a nerd, I would like the offensive line to be included in these, but it's not. But I think it's impressive just in terms of looking at it from a roster building perspective. Barnwell mentioned the receiver overhaul. He also mentioned the two running backs, Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson, being a good platoon. He didn't even mention Hunter Henry, who's probably still a top 10 receiving tight end in football, just based off the production. So they've really done a lot of good work in improving
and
that.
just he gives you a little bit of history. The 2024 rank was 10.
Yeah.
And then in 2025, even with the addition of Diggs, it dropped all the way down to 30.
Yeah.
So let's hope that it's not prophetic because they thought a group that was really not very good was 10th.
He thought in 24 it was 10?
In 2024 rank was 10. 2025
I thought it was
rank
like
was
30 something.
25. Last year was ranked 30 going into the season.
All right.
So now they are back to 10.
Yeah.
And much of the stuff that and Evan talked about it, but I'm just reading right here from Barnwell. There's a drop off from Brown to the rest of the lineup. The Patriots are much deeper than they have been in years. Adding Doubs to the mix adds a 26-year-old wideout who ranked 28th in ESPN's receiver score last season. There's a possibility that he improves with more regular playing time, which I think we all sort of are on board with. And then I think the key to his high ranking for the Patriots skill guys is the depth.
Yeah.
Matt Collins, Douglas, Booty, Williams, even if Booty goes, he does qualify Booty's inclusion there. But he says, as it stands, while this isn't the best wide receiver room in the league, it might be the deepest.
Yeah.
Albeit one in which May likely elevated talent and receiving efficiency across the board last season. And then he gets to the point that you made about the running back. So, Bill Barnwell's a pretty in-depth guy. So I think that's a pretty solid ranking, top 10. Some people not happy with that.
Not high enough.
Some people don't think it's high enough.
Oh.
And we had an email, an older email here from Doug in New Hampshire. I think this came in last week, and I'm not sure if Fred read this, but he was talking about Eldred when he called in about Robert Mazes, and
Yep.
and they had him being 7th or 8th best in the AFC, which he thought was a bit disrespectful to McDaniels because he thought like teams like the Chargers and the Jaguars were above them. So I think now you get another one from another source on at Barnwell, kind of looking at it the same way. So
I think it all depends on. Doesn't it all depend on what you think AJ Brown has left in the tank?
yeah, and everybody seems to be pretty confident that AJ Brown will not be the problem. Like they all seem to think that he's going to bounce back. He's got May instead of
Jalen
Hurts, and Barnwell's actually cute in this. He actually puts Brown, 28, he's 29 today.
Right.
I mean, he wrote this, this week, so clearly he's trying to paint a even more optimistic picture on AJ Brown, but people are high on that acquisition.
Yeah,
for the most
it's
part.
hard not to be. I mean, even if he's just the AJ Brown he was last year, he's still a 1,000-yard guy, and there's someone that's going to catch 80 passes, 1,000 yards, give you 6 or 7 touchdowns, and that's just based off of a down year last year. If he's even better, I still have. Maybe it's just a little bit of what I saw in the spring that gave me some pause with Romeo Doubs. I wasn't overly blown away with him.
I agree.
In the spring, now maybe he's not a practice player. Maybe he needs to get his footing and get the playbook down and all those different types of things. But you're hoping that he's going to be a better number 2 than like the Keyshawn Booties and the Matt Collinses were last year, who were around 550, 500 yards each. So you're hoping that Dobbs is going to be 850, maybe even pushing 1,000 if he has a good year. I don't know if I'm ready to say that he's going to be that, but the depth is there, and I think that there's a strong argument to make that they're one of the deeper receiving groups in the league, which is crazy to think in a couple of years.
And I'll just I'll close this out by just giving you the top 10. So, the Patriots were 10th. Philadelphia is 9. Minnesota, 8. Dallas, 7. Arizona, 6. Now, Arizona I thought was a little strange inclusion there because Harrison's been a disappointment. Now, Michael Wilson had a really solid season for him last year.
Yeah, we did this. We sort of did this exercise on Catch 22, and the Cardinals are one of those teams that we were thinking about that they do have a lot of playmakers. We just don't know about anything else going on with that team.
Right. I mean, Trey McBride obviously is an excellent pass-catching tight end. I just thought that was a little high. San Francisco was 5.
Yeah.
Atlanta was 4.
Another team that has a lot of skill players, but not necessarily a great roster.
Triggerman, yeah. Cincinnati, 3. And then the Rams are 2, and the Lions are 1. I don't think anybody would argue necessarily with those top 3.
Yeah, seems pretty
You
right.
can change the order any way you see fit, but I think most people would agree those are the 3 deepest core of weapons that you would see. The other thing that was interesting that ESPN did, and is something that you told me about this morning, Ev, was upgrading the off seasons.
Yeah.
And Patriots are more middle of the pack there. And they were, I think it was it Seth Walder that wrote that one? Patriots received a B-.
Yeah.
Which, it's an acceptable grade, but when you start looking how many teams got better than a B-, quite a bit. I'm going to just count them up here, but you can sort of raffle off some of the things that Seth, he didn't like the acquisition of Draymond Jones as much as maybe some others did.
Yeah, it's interesting. I look at Draymond Jones and Kayvon Chason as an even swap. Now, he mentioned that Chason, he was factoring contract and age, I think, a little bit more than maybe I would when looking at something like this, because Draymond Jones, Chason, those are guys that I think are here to win now, win now players, not necessarily guys that are worried about how they're going to be in 5 years, down the line. But he mentioned edge rusher as a weak spot on the roster still, and highlighted, that swap. And that's fair. I think a lot of these swaps that they made across the roster, they did so many things, Paul, last offseason where they got everything right with all their offseason acquisitions for the most part, and all the guys that they let go for the most part. If Draymond Jones is not as good as Kayvon Chason, or their depth is not as good because they no longer have an Anthony Jennings or Jelani Tavai or some of those players that played on the edge last year, those are the things that they're taking a little bit of a dice roll on. Even I would say, we were talking about the skill players, like, is A.J. Brown going to catch 83% of his passes like Stephon Diggs did last year? Like, maybe he's more explosive, maybe he's more of a dynamic threat, but Diggs' efficiency was remarkably high.
Roof. Yeah.
So, are those things going to all go right for the Patriots? I think is kind of where some of the skepticism
I
goes.
just counted them up. There were 15. So they were directly in the middle of the pack. There was 15 teams that got a B or better. And then there was another half dozen or so B minuses, and the Patriots were one of those. Just to give you a little overview, they break it down with the grade, and then they say biggest move, they say trading for A.J. Brown. Move I liked, getting Michael Onwenu to take a pay cut, and move I disliked was signing edge Draymond Jones. Evan kind of talked about what Walder's reasoning was, and it was more so that I think he thought that Chason was a better pass rusher, and he thinks they're sort of lacking, and I think we'd all agree.
Yeah.
He said one area that still looks a bit weak is edge rusher. The Patriots lost Chason at free agency after a solid season and replaced him with Jones. Putting aside that Chason signed with the Commanders for a cheaper contract than Jones was signed to, I would rather have held on to Chason, as Jones recorded a pass rush win rate. Cannot say win rate.
I do that all the time.
Pass rush win rate at edge in just the 22nd percentile. So he thinks Chason's a better player. Regardless of the contracts, that only kind of exacerbates it for him. But you look at it, I think he sort of here's one thing that I thought was interesting. He talked about the offensive line.
Yeah.
And I think we all viewed the offensive line as an area that needed an upgrade. He says the Patriots also took a swing at guard Elijah Vera Tucker.
There you go.
Tucker.
They like it when you say Tucker.
And he said, though I thought they overpaid considering his struggles to stay on the field with the Jets, this is the part that I found interesting, and metrics that lag behind his reputation, Vera Tucker offers upside, however. So he's not as sold on the player, let alone the health. Is certainly I am, because you know me, I don't do a lot of extensive study, but I'd be hard pressed to find anything as remotely negative about his play as that when you read about Vera Tucker, or league wide.
Yeah, no, I would say some of that I think maybe stems from how many different positions he's played in his NFL career with the Jets. Like, he's played tackle, he's played both sides of the line. If he knew that he was going to play one position and stick at one position long term, like what metrics is he looking at? Exclusively left guard metrics, or is he looking at right guard and right tackle and all the other spots that Vera Tucker has played throughout his career with the Jets? I think is notable. But these are the things that I was hinting at with Draymond Jones. These swaps or these decisions, Garrett Bradbury out, and even though they don't play the exact same position, this is kind of what happened. This is the domino effect. They remove Garrett Bradbury from the equation. They add Vera Tucker. So is Vera Tucker a better player for the Patriots in 2026 than Bradbury was in 25? That's going to determine whether or not this was a good offseason, just like Draymond Jones being better than Kayvon Chason. I think their swap with Jones and Chason, that Jones is a bigger guy. So I think they're trying to get a little bit more sturdy.
No doubt.
And a little bit more, run savvy.
They may have looked at what happened in the Super Bowl and said that we can't allow that to happen again, and we need to get a little bit stouter out there. No question. But I think we'd all agree, especially with Akis's sort of tenuous situation, and that's still, just to give everybody an update, no news there.
Yeah.
Haven't really heard anything about that other than, I think we'd all take it as a good sign that he was part of that social media thing that put out when they visited the the FCAT.
Yeah.
Why can I not think of the Foundation to Combat Anti-Semitism? I couldn't think of the acronym for a second. So when he was with the rest of the rookies and that, I think we all took that as a good sign. Hopefully that is a good sign, but we haven't heard anything since.
Yeah, he's been working out on his own. He's been posting some workout, best shape of his life videos on Instagram. And the thing that I found notable wasn't so much that he's working out, because he's going through workouts. Like, obviously I would expect him to be doing that this time of year, but going through workouts, Paul, in Patriots gear, which I thought was, notable given the situation. So
in this day and age of wiping my social media channels of all logos and marks, absolutely good sign.
So he's not under contract yet with the Patriots. He's obviously drafted by the Patriots, but I thought that was interesting that he was wearing a Patriots t-shirt during those workout videos. I don't think that was a mistake to be repping the brand, so to speak. But I think Seth Walder brings up some interesting points. Like, I'd probably be a little bit more high on it than him in terms of the veteran ads or the free agency ads. But I think the one thing that I've struggled with, Paul, with this offseason that I've had to keep reminding myself is that the last couple of off seasons they've picked at the top of the draft. So you were getting Drake May, you were getting Will Campbell, you were getting players in the draft that you were expecting to come in and make immediate contributions and be huge upgrades over the players that they were replacing. When you pick a guy like Caleb Lomu, and I think Seth wrote a little bit about it, if he's just Morgan Moses' successor at right tackle, he might not even play very much his rookie year.
Right.
So your rookie class from a draft pick perspective is not going to be this overwhelming Will Campbell, Travion Henderson, Craig Woodson, like all these guys coming in immediately and making contributions. You might not get that out of a group when you were picking 31st in the round, throughout the draft. So that's been a B- when you don't have rookies that you're expecting to come in and make immediate impacts. I can understand that.
Sure.
Maybe if you had a different draft positioning, if they went out and traded for AJ Brown, let's say they did that last offseason. They drafted Will Campbell and Travion Henderson and all these guys on top of trading for AJ Brown. That's an A+ offseason. When you're drafting a tackle in waiting and a second rounder who we haven't seen yet with the team and a third round tight end, like these are things that might not be immediate 2026 contributors. Like, I can get why your rookie class might get dinged a little bit for that.
So let us know, how you guys feel. We gave you Bill Barnwell and Seth Walder's views of both the Patriots' core of weapons and their offseason in general. And I thought Evan did a good job of sort of breaking that down. That's what happens when Paul and Evan are here and there's no adults. Look at that phone. Look at the phone lines.
The phones are
just
we're actually talking about the Patriots and not
just stacked.
What TV shows we watched.
So
over
it's
the
funny because, I'm going to read this first one, from Blake, first email. Been listening since 2018. Has not missed a single episode. You guys are fantastic. It's been my goal to see the Patriots game, a Patriots game, for as long as I can remember, pushing it back several years. Last week, I was joking with my wife about taking a trip to Kansas City to see them play the Patriots, which is about a 3.5-hour drive. Little did I know that she already had it planned to surprise me with tickets to my first game in Foxborough.
Oh.
We will be attending the October 11th game against the Raiders, and I couldn't be more excited. I know you guys get asked for recommendations a lot, but if there were 3 must-see areas, see-do kind of things in the area, I would appreciate it. We'll be flying in that Saturday, staying next to the stadium, then after the game, staying downtown Boston through Wednesday. So, Evan, take it away.
3 must-dos. And he is going to Boston, he said, at the end of the trip.
Yeah, after the game. Yep.
Okay. So, I'm a North End guy, Paul. You know that.
That was how I answered the newsletter questions.
So, we're in the North End pretty frequently. So, I would say you got to go for at least one dinner in the North End, get some Italian food. I'll give you 2 recommendations. I'll give you 3 because my wife will get mad at me if I don't shout out all 3 of them. Tresca is one of our favorites. It's actually part owned by Ray Bork, so that's pretty cool. He used to play for the Bruins. If you're not a hockey person, and go see Rich. He's a great guy. He's the chef there, and Ray Bork is. You might see Ray if you get lucky. Sometimes he's there, so that one's cool if you're a hockey person. But Tresca, I'm a big fan of Antico Forno, which is on Salem Street in the North End. I think they have the best red sauce in the North End, personally. And we tried all the places for the most part. So I would go to one of those two, and then Chow Roma is a new one that we found. It's a little bit off the beaten path on Prince Street, I think, that we really, really like. And they have, this is October. I don't know if they'll still have the outdoor seating, but they do have outdoor seating, which is pretty cool if you want to go there for outdoor seating. But those would be my 3 recommendations. I'd say make a reservation because you will wait if you don't have a reservation even at that time of year. But North End, I would say, is a good one. I think if you're coming to Boston and you're only coming for like your first time ever, I still think Faneuil Hall is like something that you should do. You know, I know it's touristy.
Yeah, the touristy stuff is
but if you're
touristy for a reason.
If you're only coming to Boston for this being your first time or just for a short period of time and you don't live here, taking people from out of town to Faneuil Hall and Quincy Market is always a hit. Like, it's always one of the more popular things that we do.
It's America 250. Go see the sights. Go see North Church, Bunker Hill. Go ahead.
Yeah.
What are you going to do there?
Learn some history.
Oh, okay.
I think
How
it's
about
all,
look at the graves of those revolutionary soldiers and
I
say
think
thank
this is
you.
all adjacent. I think you guys are
Go walk
agreeing you're
around
just being argumentative.
and go eat something. Don't like Bunker Hill. Like, what
I mean, I think it's tremendous. I mean, obviously, I've done a lot of that stuff, enough times. But I think when you're from out of town, I agree with both of you. Get to Faneuil Hall, go and see some of the history, the Freedom Trail, and things like that. I think it's all well worth your time. I do. Doesn't make me a Boston.
I mean, I'm sure I've done the Freedom Trail like once when I was a kid. Was not memorable. I don't even remember it that well.
It's because you were probably correcting your tour guide.
That's how much freedom they gave you back then.
Oh, so great.
So speaking of,
I needed a third thing. Though.
Oh, sorry, go. I thought you had exhausted that.
I did, but now.
Well, while you're thinking of a third game, I'm gonna move on because Anthony in Seattle, our very loyal listener, is rallying to our defense about this. Who's this stick to football Andrew guy? He's not happy. He wants to know.
Andrew?
Did anyone check and see if that Andrew guy was in fact Andrew Hart, just trolling the show? It felt like he got exactly what he wanted, which was a lot of attention throughout the remainder of the show. And we know that Mr. Roger in Foxborough knows exactly what to say and how to ruffle a few feathers. Otherwise, if it was just in fact some guy, I'll say this, bro, you're new here. Just sit back and enjoy the show.
Nice.
Thanks, Anthony. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Thank you. I think that just be more open to American soccer fans. I'm not talking about the ones that complain about everything about soccer, but there's a lot of us, myself included, that really enjoy the sport and really care about the sport. And I feel like there's too much like gatekeeping of those types of people that goes on. Like, do you want us to be fans or not? Because every time an American tweets about something soccer related where there might be a mild criticism in there, it's immediately taken as like, stay in your lane. You don't know what you're talking about. Just relax.
All right, so I did mention that the phone lines were starting to stack up a little bit, so I'm going to lead it off with our buddy Herm in D.C. You can get us started today.
Hey, what's going on, gentlemen? Light crew today, huh?
Yeah, it's just the A-team.
Okay.
Some people have to work, you know what I'm saying?
No, I got you. Somebody got to pay the bills. One comment and a question, and so as I'm getting older, right, I promised myself not to get riled up about like dumb stuff, but so this gentleman, Jordan, I think Dejani is his name, from CBS, wrote an article basically explaining how the Patriots had the third worst offseason out of all NFL teams. And I'll say this like respectfully, I think this gentleman needs to get his head examined, to be honest with you. I mean, how can you trade for an all-pro receiver and an all-pro safety and land on the list as having the third worst offseason, right? And I don't know if it's a thing where I feel we're going in the direction of, obviously attention is the biggest currency in you guys' space, in the media space. So I don't know whether he was trying to get like eyeballs in his article or whatever, but I just think when certain journalists, and I feel like the journalistic integrity should be brought back, right? Write stuff like that. I mean, they lose all credibility, at least in my opinion. You know what I mean? It's just
okay. Well,
I mean, I don't know.
So I think that
I'm not familiar with
I
this
read
one.
it, and 90% of the blurb of what he was writing about was about Mike Vrabel's situation.
Oh.
So he was saying that they had.
Well, that makes it even worse, though.
No, it doesn't.
I mean,
no, it doesn't actually. He thinks it, obviously, and I didn't read it, but my guess is that he's thinking that this could be a possible problem, a distraction.
Yeah, he was saying that they had a bad offseason because of the situation with Mike Vrabel and the off-field stuff, not because of what they did personnel-wise, adding talent to the roster. He was talking about the distraction and the potential.
I mean, another guy for ESPN that we just mentioned had them, I believe, tied for 16th.
Yeah.
So it's not like that much. And this guy didn't say anything about Vrabel. So if you think Vrabel is significant, which I kind of agree with Herm, I don't really think the Vrabel part of it right now is overly significant.
Yeah.
But if you think it is, shouldn't that factor in?
That was it. Now, I would say to Herm's point, it felt a little bit clickbaity
And
that
thanks,
he was
Herm.
making it about the drama and not necessarily about the football. But not to defend the guy, but that was what the ranking was based off of, was the Vrabel situation with Diana Rossini, not necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly sounds like that. But, again, I think that's way too low. But
I think the one thing that
I just don't think it's like, well, there's no integrity. Like, why is someone's opinion is different than yours? So that means that they have no integrity.
I just think he probably put too much. And I think this happens sometimes when you're not here and you're not covering the team day to day. He probably put a little bit too much stock in this being like a long-term issue.
And that's how I would feel about it.
Right.
If you think that that's a huge issue, I would tell you right now that I don't feel like it's going to be a huge issue for the team and the season. But that doesn't mean I'm right.
Right.
Does that mean I have no journalistic integrity? Because if I end up being wrong,
right. There was I think it was Pat Doherty. He writes those like head coach GM rankings every single year. And he had Vrabel relatively high. I can't remember the exact number, but he wrote the same thing. If this goes sideways, how long is he going to be the coach for? Those were some of the concerns that were brought up in this thing. I think both of us feel like that's kind of behind us, but I guess you never know.
All right, so let's stick with the phone lines. I'm going to go to Jack in Michigan. You're next, Jack. Jack. Took me 2 calls to lose a guy. There you go. All right. So we're gonna get this stuff jump started right now. Christian in LA, get us on board here. Where are we going?
Yeah. Hey you guys. I am on my way back from Oregon, driving down. Went to go pick up my son. Headed down to LA to have some fun.
Nice.
So that's my summertime starting story. I got to say this though, Paul. I want to change the definition of mansplaining to Paul-splaining, because you have a way of finding a negative in everything that you explain. So now it's going to be Paul-splaining. It's going to stand for finding something negative in how you explain things. That's one thing. 2, it was definitely a bad offseason because you get 2 great players, but you cancel those 2 great players out with one guy who's probably likely not going to play, and another guy that you probably likely drafted with a significant injury enough that they can't get him signed. So, and a coach who's lost his moral authority. To me, that's a bad offseason. Anyway, one question, and then I want to try to stump the grump. So my question is, we did speak about, and maybe ad nauseum, how football players would translate to soccer. But I was asking you guys once, I don't think I answered, how do you think some of the star soccer players would translate to football? Like, what position do you think they would be as football players? Before you answer that, Paul, let's do it. Let's do a stump the grump.
All right, my answer to the first question is kicker, and you already stumped the grump because I have no idea what that first thing was all about. The Paul-splaining. So you've won. You win. You stumped me.
It'll catch up to you, Paul. Okay, here's my stump the grump. Boston Red Sox were the last team in baseball to integrate. Who was the player that was the first integrated player on the Boston Red Sox?
Elijah Green.
Bam! Shit. I mean, dang! Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, Pumpsy Green.
Sorry about
Thanks.
the language.
See you next
Okay,
week.
Christian.
Let's go to
That was kind of an easy one.
Yeah,
no?
let's go to my favorite Christian. We're going to go Christian in Boston instead this time. Chris with a T-I-A-N.
Paulie, what's going on, pal?
Hey, guy. How are you?
How you? All right, buddy. Hi, Evan. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, folks. Quick question for you guys. Worst thing in the world that Keishon Boutte stays here? Obviously, if he doesn't want to be here and he wants to go out and make money and produce in an offense and get a good contract, then why shouldn't he? Isn't the offense with Dobbs and Boutte and Brown better than Dobbs and Brown and whoever else you want to throw in there? And I get it that they both play the same position in Brown and Boutte. And you hope a guy like Kyle Williams develops, and you hope that maybe Pop Douglas and Efton Chisholm turn into something. And you got Matt Collins, I get it, great guy to have, great locker room guy, and just a big body to throw to. But I trust Josh to put these guys in a great position to succeed, and I just want the most talent that you can have on the field. And everybody's talking about trading Boutte, but, if they can keep him and he wants to stay here and he's not going to be a problem, I think that's the best. I think that's the best outcome for the offense. Wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt that he's a talented player and would help in that
No
grand
doubt.
scheme, even if he's just a really good backup receiver, a guy, a depth guy that they have in case somebody gets hurt. But,
Yep.
I mean, Christian kind of answered his own question, in my opinion. Is Keishon Boutte going to be on board with that? Is that what he wants? And, is he pointing to wanting some sort of a trade or something like that because of the fact that his volume and his opportunity is going to shrink?
If he wanted to be here and accepted sort of another year like last year where he would be strictly a complimentary piece and his targets probably wouldn't be there, then I would say by all means.
Right.
I just think that he probably wants more than that, and I don't see him getting even more opportunities than he did last year. I think he'd be hard-pressed to get the same amount of opportunities he got last
Agreed.
year.
I think the one
based on
thing,
the way the pieces have changed.
Yeah, I think the one thing that you could argue, and the Celtics are arguing this right now with their superstar player, they've been trying to dangle Keishon Boutte for a while now. Like, I think Keishon Boutte's been available for the right price in a trade for a while now, and it seems pretty clear that they might not get that price. So is it really worth it just because he might be disgruntled just to maybe get him into a better situation for himself, taking 40 cents on the dollar to whatever it is, and you get like a late round pick or a swap or something like that? Like, is that more worth it to the Patriots than holding on to him as depth? Is he really going to be that much of a problem? Because I think if they were getting offers for Keishon Boutte that were sizable, he'd be gone already. If they were getting a third or fourth round pick back for Keishon Boutte, I don't think he's here at this point of the offseason. So the fact that he's still here tells me that they're probably not getting blown away by trade offers.
Yeah, I don't think there's much of an argument against that. You're looking at probably a late day 3 pick, and right now the Patriots look at that as like, well, it's worth it for us to hold on to see if we can sort of convince him to fill a role than it would be to give him, to get a 7th round pick or a 6th round pick in return. I think if you were getting a 3rd or 4th round pick, you'd probably say it's probably best for both sides to move on.
Maybe they'll get that in September, around roster cuts. Maybe they'll get that at the trade deadline if a team that is making a push and they're a receiver short, and maybe in October they want to make that trade. Right now, it doesn't feel like that market is there, and so you're just giving them away at that point. And is that really good business to just kind of give away talented players? Yeah.
So, I think that those are the two ways of looking at it. My feeling is that he's going to eventually get moved.
Yeah, me too.
I just think it makes too much sense for both sides, but I wouldn't be opposed to having him back. Absolutely. I'm not. I've sort of pushed back on Fred sometimes when he, talks about how much upside he still has and he's still an ascending player, but that doesn't mean I don't think the guy's got value. I do think he has value, and I think he had a really effective year for them last year. You saw it. You saw him make a lot of big plays for them. And sometimes those guys that don't necessarily have the huge volume but find a way to make an impact is sneaky hard to replace. Because I think I've talked about this a lot with Julian Edelman in the past. Sometimes when a guy doesn't get a lot of opportunities, he finds it harder to maximize the ones that he does get. In other words, some guys need to get in a rhythm, It's why some guys in basketball can come off the bench and
pinch
be
hitters
ready
in baseball.
Be ready to knock down a 3-pointer. Other guys need to take 2 or 3 3-pointers before they get, in that hit 5 in a row mode. Well, sometimes if you're coming off the bench, you don't get an opportunity to miss those first couple to get hot and get in your rhythm. Kayshon Boutte didn't need the reps. Early in his career, Julian Edelman did a good job of maximizing his opportunities and eventually carved out a bigger role for himself. That's not always easy to do. Yeah. So I'm not an anti-Boutte guy at all. I'm not anywhere near as high on him as Fred is, but I don't think anyone is, maybe except for Kayshon himself.
Fred's not here, so I don't want to, have an argument against nobody.
We can do it.
But my pushback to that with Fred is always, tell me what else he can do. What else is he adding to his repertoire that is going to take him from 30 catches last year, 35 catch guy to a 60 catch guy? Is he all of a sudden going to master running routes at the first and second level of the defense? Is he going to be very good at playing in the slot, like some people think he might be?
Right.
What other sort of thing is he going to do? Because when we start talking about volume and getting targets and getting 60, 70, 80 catches in a season, well, we see that with guys like Diggs, or if you watched A.J. Brown with the Eagles last year, how many branches of the tree they're able to run. And how a guy like Diggs, how versatile he was last year, playing inside, playing outside, playing in different formations, different groupings. That sort of thing, you have to be able to do that. And I think that Kayshon Boutte has been a really good outside the numbers deep threat.
Right. Absolutely.
I haven't really seen another branch to that route tree yet.
And that doesn't mean he can't do it, but I think that has been some deep in cuts and some go routes. Like, that's what you've seen, a lot of outside the numbers down the field, and he's been really good at it. Really, really good at it. So, speaking, we're kind of offense adjacent here. Jeremy writes in. This is one I'm going to direct to you directly, Evan. Do you think Josh McDaniels can get the most out of Drake's capabilities? I know that they did great last year, but for example, during the Super Bowl, there were several times you could hear the Mike linebacker yelling out, "It's a run," and Drake didn't audible. How much can they improve as an offense this season?
Yeah. Look, I think that by the time they got to the playoffs and certainly in the Super Bowl, I do think that the berth, or like the size of the menu, was probably not as big as they needed to be to compete at that level. And I think a lot of that has to do with having a second-year quarterback, but also having new pieces around that second-year quarterback in a system for the first time. And there were times, and I've mentioned this before, where I would watch their tape and I felt like I was seeing the same plays over and over again. And sometimes that can be effective. If you're running repeat plays out of different looks and different formations and presentations, sometimes that can be effective, but ideally you would like to have the full berth of the playbook or the full menu available. Like, you don't want to have like one of those like fixed menus, Paul. You want it the Cheesecake Factory, right? You want to have the whole Rolodex. And I think that that's sort of a next step. Now, I didn't see that, and like I didn't watch the Super Bowl from the TV broadcast.
Did you pout?
I didn't. I just didn't watch it.
Didn't come back and watch any of like the.
I watched the all 22, but you don't hear anything with that.
Yeah.
So I always I don't know. I kind of push back on some of that stuff of like, oh, they were calling out their plays. Like maybe they did a couple times, but that's pretty typical.
And I'm not familiar with where he got it from either.
Yeah.
I'm guessing like some of the NFL Network stuff that comes out, like the
mic'd up
special
stuff.
effects, the mic'd up stuff.
Yeah.
I just will say that those are very cleverly edited.
Yeah.
And it makes it look like maybe something that was, kind of interesting was the key to the game.
Right.
And I don't think there's much question that Drake May will be in a better position to handle situations like that this year with a whole year under his belt. His teammates were raving about it. The coaching staff, Ashton Grant, Josh McDaniels, I think Todd Downing even had, a comment. They're raving about his maturity level. A.J. Brown was struck by it immediately upon getting here, just how forceful and assertive May was in meetings behind the scenes. So I don't think there's any question Drake May is going to be much better suited to handle situations in year 2 of this system than he was last year. But you got to go out and do it on the field.
Yeah, I think it would help them for that. Now, I don't know how much this is a Josh McDaniels issue. This is just growing and developing and maturing in an offensive system. If we're talking about Josh McDaniels, I'm thinking more play design and like X's and O's and that sort of thing than I am, the Seahawks calling out their plays. I think a lot of that, like I would venture to guess that Robert Spillane probably has called out, his fair share of plays in the past, because that's what these guys do. They study, they know
film, they know tendencies, they know trends, formations, and
right.
whatnot. Yeah, absolutely. That's what they get paid for. I'm going to go back to the phone lines and let's see if we can hear from Grant in San Diego, the most beautiful place on earth, San Diego.
That's nice there.
Grant.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How are you?
I got 2 things. I'm good, thank you. I know there's a lot of concern on the edge depth, but I'm kind of concerned about the interior D-line. I'm wondering if you guys think they need to get a big body in there, like a Selver Salinga or a Kyle Love, body type, to really space eat in the middle there. Or do you guys think they can survive without it?
So I do think that is lacking, a big space eater, but I do think that they can get by without it if that matters. So I'm not dismissing that there's a hole where Tonga was last year, but I just don't think it's a vital thing. And if it turns out to be a problem, I think it's kind of easily addressed.
Yeah.
I think you can go out and get a guy that, is 330 pounds and just kind of plays the run.
Yeah.
I don't think that's something
especially nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear what he's saying. I hear what you're saying, Grant, and I kind of thought maybe they would, late round pick UDFA, somebody like that. David Bly, the guy that they got from Miami, he played that role in college, but he's 295, 290. So he did it at the FBS level, playing a lot on the nose. I don't know if you can play the nose at 295 in the league, but they're bullish on their defensive line.
Well, you have Barmore and Williams.
And they're super high on Corey Durden too.
But those guys are going to be on the field. Like Corey Durden's going to be at best a part-time player.
Yeah, Corey Durden I think is going to be Tonga. I think
when you have guys like Williams and Barmore, they're not coming off the field very often. Yeah. Unless something goes wrong. Obviously injuries are huge, but those guys are going to play the vast majority of the snaps. And then when you have to, it's 3rd and short or whatever, goal line situations, you want maybe some added bulk. But it's not a huge issue for me.
Because Mike Vrabel got asked about a lot of these groups, edge, tight end, run stuffing, defensive line, like all throughout the spring. And he agreed at tight end, I feel like, that they probably needed another body there. We'll see how much of an impact that player makes, but some depth there needed. But he kind of pushed back on edge, especially, but defensive line too, interior defensive line. Like they keep talking up all these guys, Durden, Leonard Taylor, Farmer in year 2. I think they feel pretty good about that group. Now we'll see if they're right, but that's just how they feel, I think.
All right, Grant, thanks a lot.
For you.
What did you say?
He's got one more.
Okay, go ahead. We're right up against the break. We'll give you the last word as you take us to break.
All right, guys. Buffalo Wing Talk. Have you guys been to Buff Pub in Newton?
Yeah.
Buff's Pub in Newton. Terrific Buffalo wings. Yep.
Fantastic. All right, guys. Have a great day.
All right.
You too, Grant. They used to be cash only, and then COVID hit, and now I think they allow cards now, but like one of those classic cash only OG, We
used to go there back 100 years ago when I was working at the Herald still, and we used to play a lot of corporate league basketball at night. And we'd have, not like a 7:00 game somewhere, and let's go to Buff's. We'll get some wings and a couple of beers afterwards. It was tremendous.
Great wings.
Tremendous.
Tuukka Rask, big fan of Buff's Pub.
Oh, that explains a lot.
Yeah, goes there a lot.
Probably doesn't go well with those late season swoons.
I think he's had some stomach aches that he's missed some playoff
That's
games.
what I was
maybe.
getting at.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
So before we get to a break, I want to let you know, I want Patriots fans to know that it's time to up your game by going to Toyota.com to see the best selection of hybrid all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive vehicles of any brand. Toyota is the official vehicle of the New England Patriots. Toyota, let's go places, as Fred so awkwardly says every week. So that's 1 hour down. We still got plenty of time. Loving all the interaction you guys are bringing it early on. But Evan and I will be back. And you don't have to limit yourself to Patriots questions. We're taking your Patriots questions. But if you want to talk Buffalo Wings or anything else, we're here for that too.
Come welcome our newest restaurant additions at Patriot Place. Estella brings a celebration of flavors with a modern fusion menu, exciting cocktails, and brunch available daily beginning at 11 a.m. Enjoy freshly brewed coffee and Mediterranean-inspired breakfast and lunch from Angel's Cafe. Craving the classics? Chick-fil-A makes it easy to grab your favorite with mobile through, carry-out, and dine-in options. Download the Patriot Place Advantage app for special offers and to earn rewards every time you visit. Patriot Place. Shop, dine, enjoy.
The heaviest metal credit card of all time. Wielded at business dinners like a samurai sword. It's a classic corporate power move. But the real power move? Having end-to-end visibility on your most critical shipments. FedEx, the new power move.
Whether you're in the game or betting on the game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming to learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer. Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right.
DraftKings is all about responsible gaming. It's more fun when it's for fun. So play responsibly. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction.
And going into my second year, everything was clicking a lot better. You know, you get a little break from the game of football because you have the offseason. You come back and just everything was firing. I totally understood what he wanted out of me. I totally understood what the coaches wanted out of me. And I totally understood where I wanted to go to. And I knew what I had to do to get to that level I wanted to be at. And boom, from there on out, going into my second season, all that hard work, though, that we did my rookie year, finally paid off, and it all started clicking. It made so much sense why we were running all those extra routes, why he wanted me where he wanted me out on the field, because that's where he wanted to place the ball away from the defender, all that little detail and all that good stuff. So it took a good solid year to have that chemistry, and then from year on out, you just get smarter. You just build upon it, and build upon it. But that chemistry would always be there from there on out.
So a pretty magical season, though. That 2011 year, you guys, you obviously make the run. You get all the way to the Super Bowl. You talked about the Earl Thomas hit, that hurt your back. You get a Bernard Pollard hit in that AFC Championship game. How much did that? I mean, we all know you weren't yourself in the Super Bowl. How much did that impact you?
Yeah, that actually was rough. That kind of sucked, to tell you the truth. It actually gave a bad taste in my mouth for what a Super Bowl experience should be like. Everyone talks about, what was it like going to a Super Bowl? Well, it kind of blew because I was dealing with basically a broken ankle, a very high sprained ankle, which
is worse than a break, probably, isn't it?
Basically, it basically is worse than a break. A break you can't possibly play on, I don't think. You would have to get the surgery or fix it right then and there. A sprain actually takes longer to heal, but you can actually keep playing on it because you really can't damage it more. but you're going to have to get it fixed, like right when you're done playing on it. But it was just such a tough situation. It was the first time I was hurt. I was young, just the stress of wanting to be out there and not being able to be out there. Just the preparation as well going into the game. I couldn't practice at all. I mean, I had like one little workout, and then I played in the game as well. And knowing I wasn't going to play that many games, and just the stress as well on the outside when I was 22 years old, and just all the questions that were coming in about my ankle. I didn't really know how to handle it, with my friends, with my family, tickets for the Super Bowl and everything. So it was not that great of an experience because of that ankle injury going into my first Super Bowl. And it made it tougher. But I can tell you this, I learned a lot from it, and I grew from it as a player, and I believe it helped me out going into the other Super Bowls.
How so?
Because I knew how to handle a Super Bowl situation.
Demands, meaning family, friends, tickets.
Yes.
Get me to this party. Get me to here or there.
Yes, and also yes, exactly. And I blew all that off. You take care of the people that you need to truly take care of, that were there for your whole entire life when you were growing up. And then also, like I said, that stress with the ankle injury as well. Questions coming from your family, your friends. Are you going to play? Coming from just fans stepping out of the house and going somewhere. It was, and you just didn't know, and you didn't want to give an answer either, because if you gave them an answer, they could go run to the press with it, and you'd be like, oh, what the heck? And then everything was tight-lipped here in the New England Patriots organization at that time, especially. So that was putting a lot of stress on you as just a 22-year-old kid. So just going into the other Super Bowls, knew how to handle the demands, not being injured, so not dealing with that. It just made those experiences just that much better then.
Was that the best team that you played on, Rob, here with that 14 team that beat Seattle?
In my career? Here in New England.
Was that the best team that you played on?
I think he might think it was a 2020 Tampa team.
That's why I qualified it.
That was a very special team.
That was a hell of a game.
It was a heck of a game. It was one of the best Super Bowls of all times. No doubt about that. People are like, what was your favorite Super Bowl? I always say the first one, but it wasn't because it was just the first one, because the first one's always the sweetest.
Sure.
But it was also because it was one of the best games in Super Bowl history.
No question.
Seattle was up. We came back. They went back up. We took the lead, and they go back down with final minute on the clock, and then Malcolm Butler has that game-sealing interception, and then we're kneeling the ball, and I'm throwing haymakers out there versus Michael Bennett, while just kneeling the ball. There's a huge brawl in the end zone, so there's just so much to it, and it's just such a great, perspective to fans, too, for a game to watch of what it's all about to play, to play the game of football. Just that game brought everything to the table, and what was great, it was such a team win. Julian had a touchdown, Brandon LaFell had a touchdown, Amendola had a touchdown, I had a touchdown, and Shane Vereen went for about 11 catches, right around there for 100-something yards, I think. But he had a big impact, even though he didn't score a touchdown, too. So just an incredible game overall. It was by far, my favorite.
And now, great moments in history.
So I love college football. He has no interest in it until February, but it's so much. This weekend especially is going to be great. Alabama, Tennessee, there's probably at least one future Patriot playing in that game. So that would probably be it.
Okay.
Because he's patting himself on the back so much, I'm going to just say this. The reason why I don't get into college football in the fall is because I have what's called a girlfriend. And 6 days a week, I have
Shots fired.
football.
Shots
and
fired.
on Saturday, I spend it with Jess. So there you go.
Wow.
I'm going to truly enjoy my Saturday this week, and I thought you said we weren't doing personal.
That's another great moment from Patriots Unfiltered.
That was brutal. A brutal takedown.
Guess what, Paul?
What?
Still the same situation.
No, I know. What? Even with the 4th of July, there's nothing. He's got nothing going on. You got anything going on?
I got nothing going on this week. No.
All right, I got the perfect thing for you. You and Jess, you like to spend your quality time. So I think why not just go and shop the sofa America's waited 250 years for at Bob's Discount Furniture. Check out the stylish multi-purpose modular Bob collection with an easy mix-and-match design, plus features like built-in charging and storage that make it perfect for everything from a football watch party and a family game night to epic sleepovers. Talk about an MVP. So stop in or shop online to score big on football season finds with Bob's Discount Furniture. the official furniture store of the New England Patriots. I think that's perfect if you have nothing going on.
Do you think that the founding fathers 250 years ago said,
Bob's Discount Furniture
sofa? That's
Yes.
what I really want right now,
So-
is a nice sofa.
Tell you, 4th of July, not that it's underrated, because I think people, for the most part,
Pretty
love
rated.
the 4th of July,
Yeah.
so it's pretty highly rated.
Yeah.
But to me, it's tremendous.
There's nothing to dislike about it. It's a day off. You get to drink. You get to eat a lot of.
And the weather is always great.
Weather's great.
Almost always.
I think barbecue, to me, cookout, that's at the top of the list, near the top of the list of foods that I would choose to eat in a setting like that.
So,
best.
do you remember last week when you and Fred had one of a typical Paul and Fred semantics argument that
Yes.
went on for days and days?
Yes.
It was about the jargon and vocab in soccer and whether or not the traditionalists like nil. Just saw another one go up there as I was watching this round of 32 match, talking about goals scored.
Yes.
And not goals allowed, Ev. Conceded.
So
that sort of kicked off your little argument last week with Fred, and Chris in Florida wants to chime in. He says, first off, I find Fred's stance on using traditional vocabulary when speaking about soccer in this country disingenuous. If you are so concerned about traditional vocabulary, why don't you call it football like the rest of the world? I, for one, don't care if people say pitch or field. If the people calling the game feel comfortable using traditional vocabulary or local vocabulary, it makes no difference to me, as long as the vocabulary is clear and, if not, explained by the user. It is fine to develop our own traditions, but it would be elitist to ignore the other traditions from around the world. Using vocab from other parts of the world is just a way to pay homage to those other countries and traditions. So I would chalk that one up for one on Evan's side.
that was a little contradictory. We started out with disingenuous, and then we went the other way, so I was a little confused there. But I think where we came to a common ground, Fred and I, an agreement.
And it was great to see you kids come together.
We
in
came
the end.
together and we were able to find common ground. I'm not talking about changing the actual terms of the sport. Like, I'm not saying that we should now call a goal a point or a run. I am saying conceded. I have never said the phrase goals conceded ever in my life. That's just not it's just not something that we say here. So
goals against, goals allowed.
Right.
Never heard goals
How many goals did you give up? Whatever. But I don't really feel it feels weird to me.
It goal differential.
Yeah, it feels disingenuous to me to then all of a sudden start saying goals conceded. I know the lingo, so that's why I just prefer not. That's just me though. But I feel like we found a little bit of common ground on that one.
So this is not necessarily Patriots related, but football related. So I'm going to stick with the football questions. This is from James, the most interesting Patriots fan on earth.
Of course.
And he's pulling a Fred here, a little twist on Fred. I was wandering along the beach the other day, overlooking the Caribbean, when I couldn't help but thinking about the wheels coming off the Bills this season. And to that end, I have a 3-part question. 1, what are the chances of the new coach Brady pooping the bed, screwing up clock management, things of that nature? I think he's a major downgrade from McDermott. So we'll touch that one first. Always a concern with a first-year coach.
Always a chance. There's a chance that he's very, very good. There's a chance that it's Gerard Mayo.
Is he Gerard Mayo or is he Ben Johnson?
Right. There's definitely a chance. I would say that it's not a very high chance to me that the wheels completely come off.
Okay, so we're going to get to some of that.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. There's really no way of knowing what Joe Brady's going to be as a coach until he's actually a coach.
Yeah.
Number 2, if he is terrible, how bad does that make the Bills? Does it make him a 5-win team? Or with Josh and playing Miami and the Jets twice a year, will Allen just always be good enough to get you 10 wins no matter what the coach is?
I would say maybe 10 is high. Like, if they're really a disaster, maybe he's only good enough to get them to 8 or 9 wins, somewhere around there. But I think that he's not going to allow them to totally stink.
So I agree.
I don't see them going
the
to the
floor
base.
is like 9 and 8.
Yeah.
And the last part of James's 3-parter is, if he does turn out to be bad, does he get pulled before the end of the season, or do they limp to the end of the season until he gets the full Mayo?
I don't think there's any chance of him getting fired in season. I mean, there's always a chance.
I just can't see them losing that many games.
Right.
But I suppose if you're like 3-8,
yeah, I think that the interesting
and they
thing
do have a tough start to the schedule, if I
they
recall.
do. The first month of the season is
Yeah,
tough.
I think we had an email like a month ago sort of illustrate that.
The one thing that we were talking about last week, Barth and I, was the interesting decision that the Bills made to stand by Brandon Beane. I always want to call him Billy Beane. Brandon Beane, their general manager, and firing McDermott, but keeping the GM, who those two guys used to be tied together. They're both Carolina guys, and they go back to those Ron Rivera, like Carolina Panthers era Cam Newton teams. They picked the GM. And I had kind of thought from the outside looking in, Paul, I don't know how you feel, that their roster deteriorated more than the coaching.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like their talent got worse and worse and worse.
I agree. Now, a lot of people, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's been a groundswell of how much was McDermott responsible for the success of the defense, which on paper doesn't look all that great.
Right.
Which is another, first of all, it's an endorsement of McDermott, but it's another, knock on Brandon Beane.
They've had great defenses for the most part. Last year, they weren't very good defensively, but
so I would say that in the entirety of the Josh Allen era, for the most part, they've had some statistically excellent defenses that when I watch play do not look all that good. And I include when they've played the Patriots.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the Drake May Patriots. I don't think they look good against Cam Newton. I don't think they look good against Mac Jones. I think that the Patriots have had some of their better offensive games in some dark times offensively in games against Buffalo.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I don't ever think that defense has been all that good. Statistically, they're at the top of the league in a lot of categories.
Yeah, not last year, but in the previous years. I just look at their roster and what has happened to Buffalo, and I get it. Eventually, with the head coach, you have to get over the hump eventually. You can't lose in the divisional round every single year and expect to continue to keep your job when you have a quarterback of that caliber.
Right.
Eventually, you have to break through. But I thought it was interesting that they kept one. Like, I thought maybe they were going to blow them both out, and they ended up keeping Beane, and then they just promoted from within. So the point that Barth was making, and I didn't really...
He's not unbiased in this case.
Yeah, but I couldn't push back on this part of it. It's kind of just more of the same in Buffalo. Like, they didn't really change all that much.
No, and I don't think they had a great offseason. I think they had some opportunities to do more in terms of personnel acquisitions, and they didn't. James' point about Josh Allen to me is the one. That's the one that stands out.
They're not going to totally stink.
I think it's always possible. You saw Kansas City finally bottom out. But how many years were we saying that about Kansas City? Like, it's just not that much here. There's just not much there. But like when you have a quarterback that's that good, you generally win. And I think that will be the case with Josh Allen too. I'm not telling you they're going to go to the Super Bowl because I don't think that's a Super Bowl roster. I don't. But he's good enough to beat you. The problem for Buffalo is he good enough to beat, say, 3 good teams in a row to get to the Super Bowl? My answer is probably not.
Yeah, and I think, with McDermott, the final nail was, if you watch that Denver playoff game, they couldn't get a stop. They couldn't get off the field. Yeah. And, take away how it ended and how he behaved afterwards, take all that out of it. As the guy that's running the defense and as a defensive-minded coach, and Bo Nix was just all over the yard, even in overtime on one ankle. He's, one leg, he's still making plays. That eventually kind of, caught up to them.
Yep.
And so I get why they did what they did, but I did think it was interesting that they held on to the GM.
So Eddie in LA wanted to weigh in on some of the talk that we had about the offseason and the weapons. He said he did hear your Catch-22 segment last week. Wanted to chime in. He felt like you guys skipped over the Bears a little bit too quickly. Loveland, Burden, Adunze could be an elite trio. Wanted to ask, do you guys think at some point the Patriots will feel pressured to make a move for an edge rusher, say a week away from the preseason and Akis still isn't signed and other teams are looking into Thibodeau? Do you think that the Patriots will be forced to make a move as soon as possible to enter the season with the edge rushers that they have? Love y'all. So take those two things. One, do you guys think maybe you and Alex undersold the Bears a little bit?
Maybe a little bit, but I don't think Adunze has really lived up to it.
He's been good, not great. I think he's been better than Harrison.
But top 10 pick. I think he was 9th overall in that draft. I want to say.
Yep.
We'll see. I was a big Luther Burden fan going into it. His metrics are all really, really good. His advanced metrics, but him and Loveland, I think, need to prove it a little bit more before I say that that's the exercise. We were doing this thing that Daniel Jeremiah tweeted out about, the 12 kind of pillars that you need to build a championship foundation. And one of them was 3 playmakers on offense. And we got really bogged down on that because we were going back and forth on whether or not the Patriots have 3. Because I think this is kind of your thing with Fred. Is he a weapon?
Is
right?
he a receiver or a weapon?
Right. And so A.J. Brown's obviously one.
Yeah.
We both agreed eventually that Ramondre Stevenson's probably a second guy we would consider.
I would consider their running backs is one.
Yeah. So
I think they have the big play, and I thought Barnwell did a good job of illustrating that.
Yeah. So Ramondre are the running backs, A.J. Brown. Do they have a third playmaker, like a true playmaker, not just like, oh, he's a nice piece like Romeo Doubs or Hunter Henry, but a guy that you really feel like is a game changer?
Sure.
And so then we were going down the list, and when we were doing the Barnwell thing earlier, it made me think of it as well. There are teams that have the playmakers, but nothing else. Like Atlanta has London, Pitts, Bijan Robinson. It'd be hard-pressed to find a better trio of playmakers than those 3 guys. Atlanta's going to win like 6 games, right? So what difference does it really make? But
you never know in that division.
Yeah, that's true. But that's what we were talking about. Maybe the Bears, I think, could get there. I think I need to see a little bit more out of, frankly, all 3 of them as young players in the league to put them in that category.
So I want to read this one real quick. It's from Evan in Rhode Island because it makes sense what he's saying, because we both kind of had raised eyebrows when we were reading the Bill Barnwell thing, and it said 24, they were ranked 10th.
Yeah.
25, they were ranked 30th.
Yeah.
And we both were like, huh.
Yeah, because I thought I went back and checked that.
So he says, just to clear things up, while the new article says that the Patriots were ranked 10th and 24, that's an error.
That's what
if you go back and look at the 24 article, they were ranked 31st, ahead of only the Chargers.
So I didn't see that they put, this was, I had a brain fart. I didn't see that he put it there. And I was curious to see like Drake May era where they were. So I actually dug up the old articles and did it manually. And so that's why I was confused. That is
It didn't
correct,
make
though.
any sense to me that they were ranked that high. Now, I didn't know they were 31st, but 10th, I don't know. That didn't seem to make a lot of sense.
Yeah, so
to
30,
me.
I think they were 30th, 31st, 30th, and now 10th this year. So they went from a bottom 5 group in Drake May's first 2 seasons to a top 10 group in his 3rd year. That's pretty remarkable improvement. And I would just add, not to take away from Travion Henderson, they haven't really done it with the draft, Paul. Like it wasn't like they drafted, we were just talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. and Rome Odunze. It's not like they went out and drafted Malik Neighbors and or whatever, and all of a sudden they have this elite young receiver. They've kind of done it through veteran trades and acquisitions for the most part. It's been impressive.
Donald is in Mississippi, has a couple of games for you that normally I like to try to play, but now I can't because I know the answers.
You're reading the email.
So he says it might be time for some games. He's got a couple love child games.
Oh, okay.
All the answers are current or past Patriots players. I'm going to just let you know they're all past Patriots players. And he's asking you who the love child of a 70s R&B soul funk disco band.
Oh, God.
And a real estate mogul.
Oh, God. I'm not going to be good at this.
So this one I think you should have gotten, but maybe it's just because
70s anything.
Well, what's my favorite group of all time?
So it's Earth, Wind, and Fire.
So who's the Patriots cornerback?
Earth, Wind, Moreland?
Earth, Wind, Moreland. Okay. So
There
I
you go.
don't know who
there.
the Moreland is. That's the real estate mogul, but
yeah,
I would have gotten it from the first
I'll take
part.
your word for it. On
Earth,
that.
Wind, Moreland, 2004.
I think it's a joke on more land.
Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah, you're probably right because I don't really know a lot of real estate moguls. Anyway, love child of the ancient empire.
Oh, God.
And a German flute player.
Oh, God. Ancient empire? That's so. Which ancient empire? Just a ancient empire?
Well, think of the most famous one.
The Roman Empire?
Right. So you got the first name.
Roman Pfeiffer?
Roman Pfeiffer. See, you could play. Just spit them out. Don't be shy. Just when you know the answers, just blurt them out, Ev.
I don't know. This is not my strength. You know that.
This was a little bit of a stretch. This one I don't think you're going to get because there's no way I would have. I love child of a gift-giving elf and a resident of Stalag 13.
Buddy?
Chris Hogan.
Oh.
The
No.
Stalag 13 part, Hogan, I would have probably gotten that eventually, but what's the gift-giving elf, Chris? Chris Kringle?
Maybe. That's
That,
not my forte.
I don't know.
None of
That's
this
a good point by you.
Yeah. not my strong suit in a lot of ways.
All right, right off the top of the show, we had our buddy Patty and Agawam called in, and then he must have had to go and get a couple of beers and then rejoin us after the break. So, Patty and Agawam, what's up?
What's up? No, I didn't call him before.
Oh, I thought it was you.
Oh, all right. I thought it was you. I thought it was you. They said it was you. They said it was Phil.
I love how Christian in L.A. calls in Paulie and says that you view everything through a negative scope, and then proceeds to crap on this year's draft.
Oh, the off season in general. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't write this sort of stuff. I just had a quick question regarding Demario Douglas. During his presser in minicamp, he looked a little bit muscular, a little bit more muscular to me, and I just wanted to see if you guys thought that if you guys thought he put on some good weight. I'll take it off air, guys.
All right, thanks, Patty. I'm not generally the guy to ask about these.
So not to get all, but I feel like he's always been pretty toned. Like even though he's not a big guy, like I've never worried about Demario Douglas's fitness. Is he in shape or anything like that? I didn't
tell you that this team must have had the greatest offseason training work that you could possibly have. Kyle Williams, Drake May, Demario Douglas, Will Campbell. I mean, is anybody not significantly bigger, more muscular than they were last year?
It's the new practice facility.
Yeah, I don't think it is, period, but
it's the New Balance Athletics Center.
Oh, well, hold on. It's time for the hydration break. It's not a water break.
It was funny. Last night they were booing the hydration break, and the announcers were like, "Oh, well, the fans here are booing because they thought they were booing something about the game." I was like, "No, they're booing the."
They don't like this.
They're booing. No, the soccer purists don't like that the game is now broken up into quarters.
I got to admit, hearing the crowds chant USA gets me going.
Hoorah!
Good job.
Hoorah's right.
Yeah.
Good job, TJ.
Yeah.
Hashtag.
This guy's the most excited for America 250 as anybody I've ever seen.
I am so excited. It's unbelievable.
I don't know. I don't get it.
My whole week at Disney, I was just telling everybody how great this country is.
We need more people like that.
We do. Yeah. Unfortunately, we need more people that live here to think. Forget about the people that don't live here, because I understand what they think of their own countries.
Well, that's what I was telling people.
It's the people that live here that don't feel like that.
Yeah. Aren't you happy you live here? Look at this. You can do this right now.
Yeah, I'm happy I live here because and I'm not no shade, but we've traveled a little bit. Germany, London, places like that. They're very, very nice, but the way that our hospitality, like things like air conditioning, let's say bathrooms.
Don't go to Europe for your air conditioning.
things like that. We're spoiled here. We are. We have bigger and better of all those things.
We're not spoiled. We do it. We're American.
Hoorah.
He is unbelievable. Let me see here. Who's next here? This is John. He's wondering our thoughts on Jonnu Smith for the tight end 2/3 role.
I don't hate it, but every single time Jonnu Smith goes to a West Coast Arthur Smith flavored offense, he performs, and every time he's out of that kind of system, he doesn't.
And he was in this system. It'd be one thing if there was somebody else here, not Josh McDaniels. It just didn't look so good with Josh McDaniels. So,
no, he looked like a...
Listen, any port in a storm, if they feel like they just need somebody, need an NFL player to fill that role, fine. I think Jonnu Smith has some talent.
Me too. Miami last year, he was a good player for them.
Yeah, so I like. I think he was actually in Pittsburgh last year.
Oh, Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Who was I thinking of?
He was in Miami before that.
2 years ago then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm all for the guy's ability, but if Josh doesn't feel like it's a fit because it didn't work out in 21.
Yeah, 21 and 22. I guess maybe in theory, when he was signed in 21, he was signed to a very expensive contract. If you're bringing him back this time, you're not really... He's not like a big free agency splash. There's a lot of pressure that comes with that. There's a lot of expectation that comes with that. But That's the one thing that you always point out is when he's with Mike McDaniel or Arthur Smith or one of these West Coast, outside zone boot type of offenses, he was great. But then when he came here and played in more of like a old school traditional drop back offense, it wasn't quite as good.
He also wants your opinion on, this is sort of off the beaten path here, something we were talking about last week, on older fans asking for autographs on their memorabilia. I'm 22 now, and I feel it's an immature look to ask for an autograph at practices, passing by piles of little kids that are there doing the same thing. Am I wrong for thinking this way?
No, you're not wrong. I'm not going to sit here and finger wag necessarily, but if there's kids in front of you that are trying to get autographs at training camp, let the kids get the autographs. Don't be that guy. Don't be that. It's like at a baseball game too, Paul. Like if you catch a foul ball and you're a grown adult and there's a kid sitting next to you, just give the ball to the kid. Like he's going to remember it a lot more than you are. Give it or her, give it to the kid. But I understand like if it's a completely random encounter, like if you just happen to bump into somebody, you want to take a picture and they're cool with it or whatever.
But it's an autograph setting, so now that to me is for kids.
Yeah, agreed.
I would agree with that. It always sort of rubs me the wrong way for years, and I know you do it now, Ev, when you check into the hotel every week. And I think they do a much better job of this, but there used to be crowds of people.
I hate it. Not because of me. I think I don't think it's fair to the players.
And there's so many times you'd see adults with their books, and they're going there right to get money. It's all in the memorabilia business.
Right.
And it just always sort of rubbed me the wrong way. But, listen, to each his own.
I'm a rat when it comes to those people when we're on the road. I report them to team security. I don't like it. Like, leave the players alone. They're not here to sign your baseball cards so that you can go sell them. It's not,
that's all they do.
Yeah,
that's all they do.
I'm not talking about the kids. I'm talking about grown adults that have these, like Paul said, they have these books of baseball cards, football cards, and they're going up to the players and they're asking them to sign them so that they can flip them, so that they can go sell the autographed football card on the open market. And it's just, these hotels shouldn't let those people in.
And along those lines, Anthony takes some exception to a lot of what we were talking about last week with the jerseys.
With the jerseys.
Yeah.
We got a lot of pushback.
I find it crazy that there are people saying wearing a jersey as an adult is lame or silly. No one should have to explain why they wear a jersey. Isn't the whole point to support your favorite team? What if there's a sentimental element? I root for Cat because he lost his mother, and I can relate to that because I lost my dad. But why would I have to explain that? It seems ridiculous and unnecessary to hate on the jersey-wearing fans. I'm just going to speak for myself here. I don't hate on jersey-wearing fans. It's just nothing that I would ever be interested in doing.
Yeah.
Like, I think as an adult, if you're a fan of a team and you want to show your support of the team, there are other jerseys to wear other than a uniform. And I think the one lone exception in my mind, not yours, I think the hockey sweater at an NHL game is a little bit different than all the others. And I would say slightly different would be the jersey at a football game.
Yeah.
The basketball and baseball ones, to me, are kind of silly. But that's my opinion. Doesn't make me right. Again, you don't have to think the way I do, and I don't have to think the way you do. It's just not something that I would do.
I think you do you.
I wear like a quarter zip green, Celtics logo on the side. I think that's saying the same thing as the corporate guy that has the Jason Tatum tank over his dress shirt and tie.
The tank is tough. The tank,
like I think
in basketball, you got to put the undershirt on. But
you do you.
Yeah, I mean, I wear a jersey to Celtics games still most of the time, and I do feel though not because of any slight to anybody, but I do feel personally that I'm starting to outgrow it just from a aesthetic standpoint. Like I just feel like I look like a big kid, wearing like a jersey, but that's just me. But it's nothing to do with fandom or anything like that. It's just, I don't know if I want to wear that anymore. Like it's not a very...
Yeah, you do you. You don't have to worry about what anybody else is thinking. You just do whatever you want. I'm just trying to look at some of these emails here. I'm doing the Fredism right now.
I do think that one too, that stems from Megan O'Brien, right? Thinking that it's ugly to wear one, right? Like that was like a, dudes aren't attractive in jerseys type of argument she was making, not a, you look like a weirdo. So I think that one's supposed to be tongue in cheek.
If someone wants to know if we have a name for our show, we said we need a name. Like when I do it with Mike, when it's Mike and I, it's PP and the Deuce.
Yeah, which is not a weird name at all.
No, it's a great name. That's one of my best ones ever. PP and the Deuce. I think what if we toyed around with Salt and Pepper?
Salt and Pepper.
Yeah,
we have called it that.
We did that one.
Yep.
Let's
After our
see.
hair color.
This is Robert writing in. He's anticipating a better offensive line this season. How confident in you that Wilson will make the transition to center successfully? So I'll get that football part out of the way first. Then we'll keep workshopping the name.
I'm pretty bullish on the offensive line too. I think it's going to be improved. Now a lot of that, I think more rides on Vera Tucker's health than the 2 second-year guys. I expect both of those guys to be pretty good. I don't know if Vera Tucker's going to be available. I think that's a big question mark. Now that they have Lomu, I feel a little bit more optimistic that they could weather that. Yep. Maybe it's a Lomu at left guard. I doubt it would be Campbell, but maybe it is Campbell at left guard. But I think they were showing us in the spring, Paul, that they might call on Lomu to play that spot if Vera Tucker were to go down with another injury. So I feel pretty good about that group. I think Wilson's going to be all right at center. The question is, to me, how much better can they be? Are they going to be? Last year they were take out the playoffs about league average, and it obviously fell off the rails a little bit in the playoffs, but they are league average last year, and that was such a remarkable improvement from worst in the league to like the 15th best offensive line was so seismic of an improvement that it felt like they were, this great group. They still weren't, nearly as good as some of the other top lines in football. So I would like to see them can they go from the 16th best offensive line, league average to top 10?
Yeah, and we
that
saw,
would be the question.
And we saw last year, when Jared Wilson went down and Ben Brown stepped in, there wasn't really much of a drop-off. Some would argue that it was actually an upgrade.
At points, I think
so.
It was.
When you're breaking it down the way you are, if it doesn't work out for Wilson at center, Ben Brown played a whole year of center that people forget now because it was such a lost season. Right. So I feel pretty good about that backup. And if Lomu has the ability to back up at those, 3 or 4 different spots, if he could play guard or tackle on either side, that's a significant upgrade. You have a first-round pick who is able to be, a much better option as a backup than what you've had. Yeah. So I think that the chances for the offensive line to be better are there. Again, you got to stay healthy and you got to prove it.
Yeah, I would say, with Lomu too, the hope is that I feel like Ben Brown would probably come in, Paul, if they needed mid-game. If Vera Tucker gets hurt and it's in the second quarter of the game, but long-term, if you're going to miss Vera Tucker for 2 months out of the season, then maybe that's Lomu's opportunity to play. But I would think if it's a spot start, if it's a half, something like that, then they'd probably rely on Ben Brown. So Robert is looking at your ball-knowing prowess, being the all-22 czar. Thank you for that.
He's wondering if maybe Paul and the Czar, Z-A-R.
Yeah, and my last name, and I've heard that one before.
To play off your name
I
and
like that.
your ball-knowing expertise.
I'm good with
which
that.
I'm not here to
like
give
to-
any credit to and credence at all. Let's see. Andrew from Maine. Paul, Evan. Great job holding down the fort. Adequate at best.
Yeah, we're all right.
I'll take the bait and disagree with Christian from LA. Lomu wasn't the tackle I wanted, but the last elite guy available in the first round, and he was the right call. Vera Tucker was a stellar signing if healthy, and if he's not healthy, now we have depth to cover some gaps. Gilliam and AJ go without saying. We needed a tight end, and we at least got Raritan. Akis, I believe. Akis, I loved before finding out he was injured. Who knows? I didn't like much in the later rounds, but that's just taking wild shots. Anyway, I do love Christian as the heel of the show, though. Plays up his villain role well, and he's always entertaining. Enjoy that Oregon drive. The countryside out there is beautiful. So, yeah, I mean, I think you've talked about the draft a lot and the differences between this year and last year. Last year you were expecting and hoping and expecting immediate contributions. This year you're probably not. This year, you'd probably be pretty satisfied if you got a bunch of guys that would figure much more into the picture next year than this year.
I think that's the only, generally speaking.
Oh, beautiful goal. Norway. Woo!
There we go.
Top corner.
It wasn't
Top
even Holland
corner.
either. Somebody else finally scored for Norway. Generally speaking, I came out of the draft feeling a bit underwhelmed, and I kind of did some soul searching, Paul, as one does, and said, is this about me or is this about what they actually did? And I think it's a combination. I think that I'm a draft guy, and to pick at the end of the round throughout the draft and not get the guy that you really wanted, just to use the first round because it's the easiest. I was really high on Maxi Onachor, and that was the guy that I wanted. He wasn't the one that fell. Lomu was the one that fell.
Right.
So does that make them wrong for taking Lomu? No, it doesn't make them wrong. It just means that it wasn't quite the home run that I was hoping that they were going to get. Onachor ended up going 8 picks higher, I want to say, 22, 23 maybe, somewhere around there. So 5 or 6 picks higher. That's who I wanted, and that's not who they came out with. And I think that's what happens when you pick there. The tight ends, there were guys that I preferred over Eli Raridan that, again, didn't make it to the end of the third round for them to draft them there. So is that anybody's fault? Probably not. Akis we were on the same page with, but it just felt a little bit underwhelming, and I think a lot of that stemmed from the fact that they weren't picking top 10. They were picking 31st, and so they didn't get the guys that we all talked about for 6 months. I guess Akis maybe, but for the most part, that is what it is. Hopefully those guys end up being good still.
No, I mean, I would agree with your assessment, and I think on paper, you just kind of look at it and assess the draft. It's not going to blow you away, and this is where I get some criticism. People say that I'm being disingenuous. I just feel like whenever a guy is good immediately, people are very quick to say it's a great draft pick.
Yeah.
But when a guy doesn't do anything right away, most people say, well, you have to give it a couple of years. So now I'm trying to give it a couple of years, and people are like, well, why are you doing this? I'm like, just because they don't play immediately. Like if Lomu doesn't play because Will Campbell has improved in year 2 and Morgan Moses stays healthy, I don't think that that's an indictment on Lomu.
No.
Now, if you're struggling at tackle and Lomu can't get on the field, I don't need 2-3 years to determine that. Obviously, they don't think much of Lomu. If Will Campbell is playing the way he did in the playoffs last year for the first 5, 6, 7 weeks of the season, and Lomu's still on the bench, that will be an indictment of the pick, as well as Campbell. So, I'm not ready to say because he's not scheduled to play a huge role in year 1, that means he stinks.
And it also doesn't mean that it's the wrong pick. Because if he doesn't play year 1, but then he's not a starter year 1, but then in year 2,
right,
he is a full-time starter, and then he's a full-time starter for the next 10 years, then that didn't make then the pick wasn't a bad pick. And I think, that's the way that you have to look at these drafts now. It's a combination of they're in a place now where they're filling out depth on the roster. You hope a lot of these guys are going to be pieces that can fill out the roster. I'll use an example like a Karen Prunty. Can Karan Prunty be the 4th or 5th corner on this team? He's not going to be better than Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis and Marcus Jones, but can he be depth? That's what they're drafting for now.
Absolutely.
They're not drafting to fill. They don't need a franchise left tackle, hopefully. They don't need a quarterback. They don't need a number 1 wide receiver. They don't need a number 1 corner. These are positions they already filled. That's why they were in the Super Bowl last year.
So it's funny, the jersey wearing argument just won't die. Barton, Poland.
Yes.
Back to the jersey wearing argument. You're against wearing sports jerseys as adults. You also seem to see soccer fans at this World Cup, fans almost exclusively wearing jerseys to games. Is it also lame? I just would argue a little.
Fashion-wise, I think soccer jerseys don't look cool anyway, so.
The U.S. Stars and Stripe ones are pretty cool.
There's a great picture right
It's
there.
not even like the look. It's the actual design of the shirt. It's too tight in places.
It
I don't
is
like
tight. Yeah, that part of it is the part I didn't.
I thought that was just the ones they give Fred. There ends up being a little snug.
Fred just orders.
Fred
them
fills
like
them out.
He orders the extra small so that he looks jacked.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't tell people if you feel comfortable wearing it. It's not something I would ever do. But like, if you feel comfortable wearing it, wear it. What do you care what other people do?
People really get riled up.
I was
by
like
that.
13 when I stopped caring about what people thought about what I was wearing. But to each his own.
Yeah, that argument never ends. Apparently.
No, which I kind of like it.
People really don't like it.
Do you? And I think it's John in L.A., right? My buddy John, who was the screenwriter for some TV shows. I don't know if this is a bit of trivia that I'm not sure you're aware of. In the past, he worked on some TV shows, and he used to write our names into them.
Oh, yeah, I heard about this.
So we had some like characters on various names.
Yeah.
And he was wondering if he's been up to his old tricks, and I think it is John in L.A. He just started watching The Prodigal Son.
Oh.
I highly recommend it if you haven't watched it. It's a criminal show about a former FBI profiler who helps the NYPD solve homicides. One of the killer's names in one of the episodes is Paul Lazar.
Oh.
I was wondering if this was our friend giving an Easter egg for PU listeners or just a wild coincidence. My guess is it's just a wild coincidence.
We could probably look up if he's on the show.
But I haven't talked. I haven't spoken to John about it. Usually he lets us know. He did it with In Plain Sight, I think, was the last one. He had all of us in it. Chris Ferreira was in it. He took a swan dive off the Tobin Bridge.
Oh,
Was
no.
that asshat Scalavino going to be there?
There you go. You got the clips, do you?
Oh, yeah.
Chris Ferreira.
He took a swan dive off the Mystic River Bridge 3 hours ago.
Oh, no, not Ferreira.
Ferreira took a swan dive off. That's actually good. The Mystic River Bridge, which no one calls it that.
Kirsch, we are this close to taking down the SOB's wife.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he wrote us all into various episodes, and it was fun.
You and Perillo are cleared for the meeting.
I mean, I do find like that it is an interesting thing because you do want the names like to be semi-believable. So just name them after real people, and then they're.
So I guess there's a bunch of like
not everybody can be John Smith.
There's regulations that they have to follow. If there's somebody of that name, they have to get
permission,
some kind of permission or whatever. So like I there are some legal logistics they have to go through, but I don't think Andy was able to get his name fully in. I think I forget.
Too many. Andy Hart is probably a pretty popular one.
They call him Jimmy Hart.
Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart.
We did some TV watching these last couple.
So
days.
I was just going to ask you that as we're winding up here. We only got about 10 minutes left. What anything on the?
We watched.
I did watch the last season of The Bear.
I was just
okay.
about to bring that up. We brought the last season. Spoiler alert! If you don't want it spoiled, then don't.
This
listen.
is a
warning.
10-minute warning. Stop listening for the last 10 minutes.
Warning. We watched the final season of The Bear. I thought it wrapped up pretty well. I thought it was very Barry, though. It's basically one set. It's just in the restaurant.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just one day, more or less. That is basically the whole season. But I thought that I figured it would be like a nice wholesome ending. It wasn't going to be a sad ending.
I was hoping for something that was uplifting.
I'm not surprised. Obviously, the completion, I think the best part of the entire show to me is the completion of Richie. And just
tremendous.
From start to finish. And obviously did you watch Gary, the little, like, you didn't watch it. So there's another episode that's called Gary, I think it is, like Gary, Indiana.
No.
It's on Hulu if you want to find it. And it's a back in time, and it's Richie with the brother. The brother's alive in this episode.
Okay.
And they the little, in the opening scene when Richie gets into a car accident in this season.
Yep.
And he's daydreaming about something.
Yeah.
That's the Gary episode.
Okay.
So it's a little like prelude, to the season. And I just ending it with him obviously getting together with the girl and everything. And like, just that total from start to finish is like
You're talking about Richie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some of the best like television character development writing that you're ever gonna see.
See, but that's what I'm talking about. I want characters that I can sort of
unbelievable.
I can sort of get an idea of. I want to try to relate to these characters and learn about them. I did think the first couple, it was like, this is like the Bears doing this to me again. Like there's just like nothing happening. It's this stinks. And then it got maybe like the last 4. I was like, okay, we're back.
Yeah.
And I think the second to last one I thought was tremendous.
Yeah.
You know, when they go through the whole 10-minute,
right.
You know, and they have to turn everything over. Carmi, I thought, was great in the last season. He'd been such a jerk, and then he kind of just mellowed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did, and I enjoyed the wrap up. I thought that was a good way to, you know, and I don't think it got too schmaltzy or sappy.
No, maybe a little bit with the birthday party at the end, but I'm there for it. It was a season finale.
Well, because
finale.
And it was Richie too.
Yeah.
So you know that was as much about Richie as anything.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
You know?
And I the cooking aspects of it are really cool, and I wonder, you know, I'd love to see how they do that. You know, how do they obviously have to, either it's like food art or they actually cook the food. I don't know, but like the food looks amazing, and it's a TV show. So like,
the funny thing is like it does look, it's so exquisitely made,
right?
And you're looking at it, but almost none of it. I mean, the short ribs, but most of the stuff they make, and I'm like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. Oh no.
You know, like I don't know if
that
I
even
would like
real?
that. You know.
But when when they're missing the topping for the sundae, and he just like makes it out of thin air, like out of couple ingredients and sciences it together. It was really good. I guess the only part that I was kind of not confused, but you know, just being realist for a second. You know, that restaurant without Carmi, like I don't really, no offense, but
it's not going to work.
Yeah, like you're not going to be getting Michelin stars without
2.
Yeah, like you're not going to be doing that.
So didn't you think that was predictable? It's like
Jess predicted it. She was like, they didn't get 1, they got 2.
I actually said, "Do we get a star?" And he's
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And I looked at Beth. I go, "We got 2."
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I was like, nailed it.
Yeah, Michelin's starting to hand out. I assume that they don't call it Michelin probably because they're not sponsored or something like that, but that's what it's inferred. They started handing out stars in Boston. So there's some restaurants in Boston now that are either have stars or are like on like the watch list, like the Michelin suggested restaurant.
I thought it was really funny the way they put that family that they brought back, and the guy just got so into it.
Yeah.
I was thinking for sure that this has to be somebody.
Like a chef or something.
Like that's the guy that's rating him or something like that. Like they were so nice to this guy and they were so annoyed by him, but they didn't do anything about it. They let him be, and then they're going to get rewarded for it because it's really going to be the reviewer or the star, you know, whatever. But no, nothing.
He just wanted to hang out.
Another question for you. Jadarius.
A lot of football questions.
This is more like in the middle. That's why I'm going to jam it in before we leave. It's a question it's a random one for Evan. You're the head coach.
Yes.
Evan Lazar. HC Evan Lazar.
Nice.
You have to assemble your coordinators from members of the PU crew.
Oh,
Who are you picking? Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams.
Well, Deuce Light does the defense, so I'll make him.
Ask him.
I'll make him the defensive coordinator. You're like my clock management guy. You're Stretch. You know,
so I have to be the offensive coordinator. But you're calling their own plays though, because there's no way you're giving that up.
Yeah. What do you mean?
I'm just Stretch. Okay, I can live with being Stretch.
You're Stretch.
Stretch a good guy. I can live with that.
I say this all the time. If in my hypothetical, ego expanding quickly here, thought that I could ever coach in the NFL, that would be my biggest flaw, would be running the clock and all that kind of stuff. So either you or Barth would have to help me with that. There's no way I could do that on my own. But yeah, I mean, if I'm the head coach, I'm calling the plays, you know that. So whoever the offensive coordinator is just there for show, We don't really know what those offensive coordinators do.
No, I mean, are they sequencing plays or are they just randomly calling plays? There's a difference between a play caller and a guy just calling plays.
That's true. I think that we've seen that here up close and personal with the guy that knows what how to call plays, like Josh McDaniels versus some other play callers that we've had here that maybe not so
Fred
much.
doesn't do a good job of deleting the emails. Just going back to like
it's a different email account, Fred. Paul.
Oh, okay. Because I'm going back to like April.
Fred uses his own special email. When everybody else hosts, I send him all to these.
Well, isn't he special? Isn't he special?
He's the boss, man.
What do we got here? Let me. A quick baseball question for Paul.
Oh.
I'm intrigued. Can you explain to me how the catcher? I'm sorry. This is from David in Venice, Florida, formerly Plainville, Mass. Jeff Plimpton, right? Plainville, Mass, former Red Sox. Can you explain how the catcher calls the pitches now? I know the catcher has a microphone in his helmet, but I see no earpiece for the pitcher, and I don't see the catcher flashing the sign. I've been away from baseball, but I have to watch it now because my older sister has come to live with me.
I'm sorry, but we're mansplaining pitchcom
So
to this person.
they do have a little earpiece, do they not? Like the
yes.
pitcher has it like...
Both the catcher and the pitcher have
Yeah.
one. They have... I thought that this was...
I swear to God, I had not known that.
Oh, really? I thought this was like super common knowledge, but I'm a huge nerd, so like maybe it just is for me. But
what year did that start happening?
Right around the Astros sign stealing scandal.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years ago.
So
maybe.
they
I did not know that.
They each have a little transponder that's about yay big, and it has numbers or pitches on a fastball, curveball, changeup, whatever, and you hit the button now. And the button will say in the ear of the pitcher, fastball, curveball, changeup. So that way they can't steal the signs. The cool thing about PitchCom 2 is it speaks like 100 different languages or something crazy like that because not everybody speaks English. So they can make it say it in Japanese. They can make it say it in Spanish, in Portuguese, like whatever language the pitcher speaks in. I think you can have the catcher's side can be English and then the other side can be Spanish. So you can have a full conversation in terms of pitching through PitchCom. I didn't realize that needed to be explained.
I've never even heard of it.
I think that the problem is I don't think the guy realized the pitcher does have an earpiece.
Yes.
You see, especially catchers, like when they throw, like, they're trying to catch a guy stealing, their mask generally gets jostled.
Yeah.
And you can often see like the wire just like hanging there.
Yep. I think what's interesting too is that they you don't see guys get crossed up anymore because it's very cut and dry. Like I call it a fastball. And so, you used to see back in the day, like a pitcher would throw 98 and the catcher's expecting a curveball and all of a sudden it's 98 over his head. You don't really see that too much anymore. How about those Red Sox, Paulie?
5 in a row.
5 in a row.
Fred, and I did get a chance to text a little bit back and forth with Fred over the weekend.
Must be very excited.
And he said, you know what he is? He's proud of them. He's proud of them.
He's thanking them for finally winning.
He's proud of them. No, but caught the Yankees at a perfect time. The Yankees were really struggling to score runs. They're still just 3 hits last night. No Judge, no Stanton.
Yeah.
So they're struggling. Red Sox took advantage. The Red Sox pitching's been really good all year. For the most part, their starting pitching has been excellent. Their bullpen's been a little leaky at times, and
Chapman.
All of a sudden, Chapman.
Yeah. 2 nights in a row, though,
not good
right?
when you want to sort of deal them.
Yeah.
I'm still hoping that this hot streak doesn't dissuade them from, because I really think that they can get some interesting pieces for some of the guys that they could trade.
I saw it earlier today.
I mean, they won 5 in a row and they chopped a game off the wild card lead.
I saw their playoff odds up to 19%, and I was like, oh, I'm not doing this.
This is not good.
I'm not doing this.
It's not good, Mav.
But watching them the other night, even the implosion that happened in that 9th inning to get that game into extra innings.
Yeah,
I was
very fortunate to win it and give the Red Sox credit.
Or was it 10th or whatever it was?
Yeah, they won in the 10th. They gave 2 in the top of the 10th and got 3 in the bottom.
When I watched that, I was like, I don't care that they squeaked this one out. This is still bad baseball. Yeah. Like, Abreu just throwing. I know a lot's going on with him with Venezuela and stuff, but he just threw the ball, nowhere into no man's land. Gave up another run. I was like, I'm not convinced that any of this is sustainable, replicable, whatever word you want to use. I'm not taking any bait here.
No, I would agree with you. Before we go, I just want to say you will be here tomorrow, you and Alex. Catch 22 at the normal time, 12 o'clock, noon to 2.
Yes.
Here from Foxborough. I have not received anything back from the boss man, so I'm making an executive decision.
I love this.
We are not going to be with you on Thursday. It's the start of the holiday week here. In the U.S., big 4th of July, 250 celebration. Morel is celebrating in the other room behind the glass.
I got the Patriot on repeat.
But, Fred's on vacation. Deuce is on vacation. Alex is on vacation. It's just Evan and I. it's a half day here
Yes.
in the organization. So I have made the executive decision to say
I think it's fair.
we're gonna call it on Wednesday. So Wednesday will be Catch 22 with Evan Lazar and Alex Barth. We will not be with you on Thursday. We'll be back next week. I think, Evan, you'll be on vacation.
I will.
I will be here next week. I believe Fred and Mike will be back. So we'll be able to get back to the PU crew at that time. But this was a reasonably quick 2 hours with really not a whole lot to talk about. I thought we got by with a couple of
a lot of football.
Yeah, a couple of off-season topics and lists. I think lists generally lend themselves to decent talk. So, Morel, you got anything special planned for the 4th?
I actually have a lot. I got to go into a couple different parties. Going to be very intoxicated and celebrating. It's going to be great.
This is
So in other words, it's going to be a day that ends in day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Day that ends in day.
Truly, Morel's
It's the
Super Bowl.
second best holiday of the whole year. The first one is the Marine Corps birthday.
I was
obviously.
literally about to say the Marine Corps birthday.
So I do love the 4th of July.
Me too.
It's like it's a perfect time for me. I just love the vibe, and
I usually spend it with Barth.
you know what I even have sometimes on the 4th of July is your fruity little drinks that
my
you
High
guys
Noons?
like, things like that. Yeah, once in a while I'll be like, let me try one of those because you're just
High
drinking
Noons
all
guy?
day.
Yeah, High Noon.
Whatever.
Drink a
High Noons.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't do Sun Cruisers.
All right. So as I say, just drinking all day. Stay safe, everybody.
Happy.
Yeah, it's going to be very hot. Stay
Everything
hydrated.
in moderation. Hydrate properly, not just with alcohol. But I want to thank everybody for joining us. Evan and Paul got through a Skeleton Crew show with no problems, and that was because of you guys. So we'll see you next week.
Hey, this is Deuce. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you really want to help us, make sure you like us wherever you get your podcasts, like Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, make sure you follow us on the New England Patriots YouTube channel to see this show and everything else that we do here at the Patriots. Thanks a lot.